الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. We continue our readings in the book Akhlaq Hamalat al-Quran, the manners of the carriers of the Quran, by the great Imam Al-Imam Al-Ajurri rahimahullah ta'ala. And the author, he is mentioning the attributes and the characteristics of the people of the Quran, one after another. In our previous class, we've seen the author, he is mentioning the issue of the manners of the person of the Quran, that from these manners that he wants good for the people. And he doesn't rejoice at the calamity of others, and he does not wish bad for others, and he does not belittle others, and he does not pick and find fault of the others. Rather, he's concerned with himself, trying to rectify his own situation, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the way of a Muslim. A Muslim should be concerned with his manners and his conduct, especially since it's been narrated from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a great encouragement with this regards. It has been reported authentically on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he said, "Inna min ahabbikum ilayya wa aqrabikum minni majlisan yawm al-qiyamah ahasinakum akhlaqa." That the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that verily the most beloved of you to me, and the nearest in the gathering, or sitting to the one sitting closest to me on the day of resurrection, is the one who has the best manners. The one of you who has the best manners. Ahasinukum akhlaqa. So then from the goals of a Muslim is to rectify his manners and his etiquettes. And we see that from these manners and from these etiquettes, there are manners and etiquettes that are outward. And likewise, there are manners and there are etiquettes that were inward. As yesterday we have seen, the author, he mentions, La yahsudu ahadan, that he's not jealous. He is not envious of anyone. And jealousy is a affair of the heart. So this is a manner and a conduct from the people of the Quran that is related to the heart. And likewise, he mentioned before, basit al-wajh, that he's smiling in the face of the brothers, smiling in the face of his companions and the likes like this, comforting them. In his conduct, this is something that's outward. So the manners of the person of the Quran, of the person of the Sunnah, there are manners that are outward and there are manners that are inward. And the one who has the best manner from the Muslims, the one who has the best etiquettes from the Muslims, they will be the closest and the most beloved to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the day of resurrection. On the day of resurrection. Before we begin reading tonight, we start with a question, because the author, he mentioned, and we read yesterday, he said, rahimahullah ta'ala, وَلَا يَحْسُدُهُ. He mentioned before that, لَا يَحْسُدُ أَحَدًا. وَلَا يَبْغِي عَلَى أَحَدٍ وَلَا يَحْسُدُهُ. He is not jealous of anyone, or he does not have jealousy for anyone. And he does not transgress the limits over anyone. So he began like this. لَا يَحْسُدُ أَحَدًا. He's not jealous or have envy of anyone. Then a few lines later he mentioned, يَحْسُدُ بِعِلْمٍ. First he mentioned that he does not have jealousy or envy for anyone. And then a few lines later, in the same context, he mentioned he has jealousy with knowledge. He does not have hasad for anyone. And then he mentioned later he has hasad with knowledge. Who can clarify the correct understanding with regards to this? The first time he said he doesn't have envy he does not have hasad for anybody. And then after that, a few lines later, he says he has hasad with knowledge. Now, أيوة في اثنتين نعم. على حلقته. نعم في الحق. أحسنت. ورجل نعم آتاه الله الحكمة. آتاه الله الحكمة يقضي بها ويعلمها. نعم. So the first one then, the brother he mentioned that this is referring to ghibtah. And he mentioned the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he said there's no hasad except for in two affairs. لا حسد إلا في اثنتين. رجل آتاه الله مالا. A man who Allah has given wealth. فسلطه على حلقته في الحق. So he used that wealth in the avenues of goodness, in the actions of obedience, spending it in the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal, helping others and in buying that which is halal and the likes like this, spending his wealth in the acts of obedience. And the other one, رجل آتاه الله علما أو حكمة. آتاه الله الحكمة يقضي بها ويعلمها. That he judges by way of it and he teaches it. So the first case, the author is mentioning he does not have jealousy for anybody. This is the jealousy that is not praiseworthy, al-hasad. And then the second instance when he mentioned that rahimahullah ta'ala yahsulu bi'ilm, now this hasad is the one that's referred to in the narration of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is the understanding of this hasad is not actual hasad. The ulama they mention is called ghibtah. Al-ghibtah. Al-ghibtah is different from hasad. So also we've seen that al-hasad, it has three levels. Who can remind us of those three? What is hasad first? To dislike. Karahiyat al-ni'mah ala al-akharin or lil-akharin. To dislike the blessings of others. And then another level above that, tamanni zawalaha, that he wished that it would go away. That's even worse. But some the ulama, they made the definition of al-hasad, tamani zawal al-ni'mah an al-ghayr. But Shaykh Uthaymeen and other than from the ulama, they mentioned that rather hasad is more than that. Like not only even if he didn't hope that it went away, just to dislike the blessing of others. This is also hasad. So then hasad is to dislike others having blessings, having good, having khair. To dislike that, to find a problem in the heart because another person has something that one does not have from the dunya or the deen. And then a worse level than that, a higher level of hasad than that is to wish and to hope that that will be removed from him. And the third stage, and the worst stage of all, of the stages of hasad, السعي في إزالة النعمة, to strive to remove the blessing. Some people, they become, that this envy is in the heart, it will burn the heart. And the one that has jealousy, it will burn his heart and he will not be able to stop thinking about the person. It would occupy his time and he'll be occupied with this person thinking about, and that's why they call the ulama, they mentioned the hasad is called adu al-ni'mah. He's the enemy of the blessing. He can't stand the blessings of others. And then, if it gets so strong in his heart, he would wish that it would go away, the person didn't have it anymore. And then if it really overcomes his heart, then he would try to remove that blessing. He would try to remove that blessing from that person, and this is the worst. That's not what is included or intended in the narration of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rather, this la hasada illa fi ithnatayn, this one here is called ghibtah, and this is to hope to have the likes of another person without having any animosity in the heart. To like to, for example, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that person who has wealth and he spends it in the path of Allah Azza wa Jal, and he spends it in the acts of obedience. So the person, it's permissible for him to wish that he had that same thing. Even one of the narrations, it mentioned at the end, the man, he would say, I wish I had the likes of what so-and-so has, I would spend it in the way that he did. Or I wish that I have the knowledge of so-and-so, I would do it, I would teach it in the way that he did. So this is the case. If we see somebody who has been given the blessing of wealth, and we see that he spends his wealth in the path of Allah Azza wa Jal, in the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal, in acts of obedience, and good, and charity, and the likes like that, it's permissible to say, oh man, I would love to, I wish Allah, I hope Allah would give me the likes of what He gave him. If He did, I would spend it in the good like he did. I would spend it in the good like he did. If we see a brother who memorized the Quran, for example, we would say, man, Allahu Akbar, the brother memorized the whole Quran, he's young. I would love to memorize the Quran like he did. Or the brother, mashallah, he never forgets when he recites. I would love to recite like that. without having any animosity or any hatred or any hardship in the heart for him. Rather to be like him in good. This is permissible. This is the good. So then here, in the case like the author mentioned, يَحْسُرُ بِعِلْمٍ, that he has this jealousy, this permissible jealousy. So this is how he can save himself from these trials and from the struggles of his heart and from the diseases of his heart. How? Because of his knowledge. His knowledge is that he's able to discern what is permissible and what is pleasing to Allah and what is not. Now this is the case. So he said, and he has suspicion with knowledge, and he speaks with knowledge about an individual. He speaks about the faults of the people with knowledge, based upon knowledge and justice. And likewise, if he's silent about the reality of an individual, he's silent based upon knowledge. This is a very important point. Not everybody, the ulama of the sunnah, they clarify, rahimakumullah jami'an, that not every person that falls into innovation is an innovator. Not every person that falls into disbelief, kufr, we make takfir of him automatically. Rather, the ulama, they have conditions, they have shurut, and then they also have things that are called mawani'. There are things that are conditions before the ruling can be applied to an individual. And likewise, there are also things that could prohibit the ruling from being applied to the individual. From these conditions is knowledge and the removal of ignorance. The proof has to be established upon him. So then he is silent about people with knowledge. Somebody may make a mistake and he didn't say anything about that. But this is based upon knowledge. This is based upon knowledge. And he'll be quiet about the reality of an individual, and then somebody will say, why didn't he speak about this person? Maybe he gave him advice privately. Not all advice has to be given openly. Likewise, so somebody may think that, he's silent about this individual and his mistake, but in reality, he's not silent about him, rather he's giving him the proper advice. So in any case, this is from knowledge. A person of the Quran is a person of knowledge. The people that are carrying the book of Allah Azza wa Jal, they have knowledge. And they deal with the people based upon knowledge. Even to the extent that the one who makes a mistake, he deals with that based upon knowledge, based upon justice, based upon the fear of Allah Azza wa Jal. Not based upon desires, and not based upon whims, and not based upon gaining status or rank or having people praise an individual. So the author, he mentioned, he says now, وَقَدْ جَعَلَ الْقُرْآنَ وَالسُّنَّةَ وَالْفِقْهَ دَلِيلَهُ إِلَى كُلِّ خُلُقٍ حَسَنٍ جَمِيلٍ. Now, the author, he says, so this person of the Quran, he has made the Quran and the Sunnah and the proper understanding and fiqh and the deen his guide to every beautiful and nice manner. حَافِظًا لِجَمِيعِ جَوَارِحِهِ عَمَّا نُهِيَ عَنْهُ, that he is preserving and protecting all of his body parts from what is prohibited from what he has been prohibited from. Allah Azza wa Jal, he has revealed prohibitions. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he has mentioned prohibitions. There are commandments and prohibitions of Allah Azza wa Jal that have come in the book and in the Sunnah. From the great attributes of the person of the Quran, the one who is truly carrying the Quran, the one who is truly applying the Quran properly, a real person of the Sunnah, is that one, he is hafidun li jami'i jawarihihi, and he preserving and protecting all of his body parts, his eyes, his ears, his mind, his heart, his hands, his feet, all of them he's striving to protect them and to keep them away from what he has been prohibited. Now, what he has been prohibited from. And this has come in the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, an authentic narration, "Ma amartukum bihi fa'tu minhu mastata'tum, wa ma nahaytukum anhu fajtanibuh." What I have commanded you to do, then do as much as you are able. But what I have prohibited you from, stay away from it entirely. And Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned about His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Surah Al-Hashr, "Ma atakum ar-rasulu fakhudhuhu wa ma nahakum anhu fantahu." Whatever the messenger he gives you, meaning in his commandments, then you take that, and whatever he has prohibited you from, then leave it off entirely. So then from the attributes of the person of the Quran, what does he say here? حافظاً لجميع جوارحه عما نهي عنه. The person of the Quran, he's aware of the prohibitions. He's aware of the prohibitions of Allah Azza wa Jal. He's concerned about this issue. We see that this is the way of the ulama likewise. The ulama, they have written entire books about prohibitions. A whole book, nothing about except prohibitions. Like Al-Imam Al-Dhahabi, rahimahullah, has a book called Al-Kaba'ir, all about the prohibitions. One whole book, all about the prohibitions of Allah Azza wa Jal, the haram, actions and statements, beliefs in creed. Likewise, Shaykh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, he has a book likewise called Al-Kaba'ir, yani clarifying the prohibitions of Allah Azza wa Jal. This is something that a believer is concerned with. This is something that a person of the Quran is concerned with. He says, "In masha bi'ilm, وإن قعد قعد بعلم يجتهد ليسلم الناس من لسانه ويده." Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. He says, rahimahullah ta'ala, that if he walks with knowledge. Meaning, if he goes forward and he advances to make a move or to do something in his life, to perform an action or to get involved in some transaction or the likes like this, he does it with knowledge. When قعد قعد بعلم, and if he stops with knowledge. And everything he does, coming and going, whether he's giving or taking, whether he's performing or whether he's leaving off, all of these things, he's doing it based upon knowledge, not upon desires and whims. He says here, clarifying, يَجْتَهِدُ لِيَسْلَمَ النَّاسُ مِنْ لِسَانِهِ وَيَدِهِ. He's striving hard to make sure that the people are safe from his tongue and from his hand. He's striving hard. Striving hard against who? Against himself. Allahu Akbar. يَجْتَهِدُ يعني يُجَاهِدُ نَفْسَهُ. Why? He's striving hard against himself for what? To make sure that other people are safe from his hand and from his tongue. A true believer, he would never want to harm another believer. A true believer, he would never want to make another believer sad even, much less harm him with his hand, harm him with his wealth, to shed his blood. This is something that is great to a believer. He would never want to be the reason to make a believer sad, to cause him to have hardship in his heart, much less to harm him with his hand. And this is because the Prophet ﷺ, he has mentioned in authentic narration the reality of the true Muslim. The Muslim who has the good Islam, al-Muslim man salim al-Muslimuna min lisanihi wa yadihi. Yani the ulama, they mentioned that the alif and lam in this word here, al-Muslim. Al-Muslim. Yani the complete Muslim. The Muslim with the strong, good Islam is the one who the other Muslims are safe from his tongue and from his hand. The other Muslims are safe from his tongue and from his hand. Meaning that this means that a Muslim, he can be a Muslim and he can be in the fold of Islam, but his Islam is not complete. His Islam is deficient. He believes there's nothing worthy of worship but Allah. He believes that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He believes in the books and in the angels. He prays his 5 prayers. Some people, maybe they're diligent in their prayer, but the people are not safe from their tongue. Or they're not safe from their hand. Ibn Hajar, he mentioned about this, that this is an indication because the tongue, even somebody, for example, could belittle somebody with their tongue, speaking bad about them. Or even sometimes maybe somebody will come in the door and they'll look like this and stick their tongue out. Like this. To belittle him in this manner like this. Sticking their tongue out to show, to belittle the individual without speaking. So this is even more, to express even more. Don't hurt the Muslim at all. Not speaking with the tongue, not showing disrespect with the tongue by sticking it out, belittling somebody. None of this. That's not the way of the Muslim that has the good Islam. Likewise with the hand. Does that mean that the one who kicks the people, it's okay? La, the expression with the hand, and either because majority of the actions are done with the hand. But even if somebody hurt a Muslim, for example, with his foot or his head, all of this is included. And the intent behind this is that a Muslim, the true Muslim, he will never harm another Muslim. Not physically, and not also in his heart, and he causing him hardship, and not speaking bad about his honor. If he was forced to speak about a Muslim, he would do it like he said before, with knowledge and justice, and at the proper time, and in the proper manner. So this is the case, and this is a great attribute that a Muslim, and all of us should strive. يَجْتَهِدُ لِيَسْلَمَ النَّاسُ مِنْ لِسَانِهِ وَيَدِهِ. That he strives hard to make sure that the people are safe from his tongue and from his hand. From his tongue and from his hand. As I mentioned, maybe some people, they're diligent with their prayer, or maybe they fast and the likes like this, but they're not safe from their hands. Some people, they harm people like this with their thumbs in these days. open the WhatsApp and spread the harming people with the thumbs and with their hands, and he's spreading stuff on WhatsApp that is harmful for others, harmful in their deen, like false information, false hadith, or spreading rumors and lies, and the likes like this, or speaking bad literally, with it, but not speaking, but rather typing with the hands. The ulama, they mention this is included. Al-Muslim man salim al-Muslimuna min lisanihi wa yadihi, because the yad, it can write. The hand, it can write also. It can write about people in the past, the people in the future, people to come. A person can speak bad likewise about those in the past, those in the future, those alive now. So the case is that it's dangerous. And a Muslim, he will strive against his soul to make sure that others are safe from these issues, from his hand and from his tongue. From his hand and from his tongue. And this is because the one who has the fear of Allah Azza wa Jalla, as he mentioned, all of this is based upon what? Going back to the first trait he mentioned, that he has taqwa, he has piety, he remembers Allah Azza wa Jalla. He remembers Allah Azza wa Jalla. And he knows that Allah can hear him and see him. And he knows that there are angels that are writing his deeds. And he knows that he will stand before Allah Azza wa Jalla, be held accountable for his speech and for his action. So because of this, he strives to make sure that people are safe from his tongue and to be safe from his hand. The author, he continues and he mentions, لا يجهل فإن جهل عليه حلم. He said, rahimahullah ta'ala, that he does not act in an ignorant manner. He doesn't act ignorantly. If someone acts ignorant to him, he's forbearing. He's forbearing. لا يظلم فإن ظلم عفا. He doesn't oppress anybody. If somebody oppresses him, he pardons them. ولا يبغي فإن بغي عليه صبر. He doesn't transgress the rights of others. If somebody transgresses his rights, what does he do? He's patient. He's patient. نعم يقضم غيظه ليرضي ربه ويغيظ عدوه. He represses his anger in order to please his Lord and to make his enemy furious. He represses his anger. He says, he represses his anger to please his Lord and to make his enemy furious. This is from the great traits of the believers, those who Allah has prepared the paradise for. Allah mentioned about this. وَسَارِعُوا إِلَى مَغْفِرَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ وَجَنَّةٍ عَرْضُهَا السَّمَاوَاتُ وَالْأَرْضُ أُعِدَّتْ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ فِي السَّرَّاءِ وَالضَّرَّاءِ وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ. Even greater than that, repressing, he's somebody who represses the anger. Greater than repressing the anger, he pardoned the people. وَاللَّهُ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. And Allah, He loves the good doers. So the person who has the strong deen, he's trying his best to follow the Quran of Allah Azza wa Jalla and the Sunnah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He remember Allah. Somebody makes him mad. Somebody riles him up. Somebody talks bad to him. Somebody takes his right. What does he remember? He remembers the verse of Allah Azza wa Jalla. وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ. Somebody does something wrong. The kids act up in the house. The wife doesn't do what was expected. The husband didn't do what was expected, like this in the house. Or in the street or at work. Things didn't go the way that it was planned. They didn't do the order that they were commanded. Or whatever the case may be. Or somebody spoke back, raised their voice. They remember this. They repress their anger. From the traits of the people of the paradise, who Allah has prepared the paradise for, they're people who repress their anger. The people who repress their anger. The Prophet ﷺ, he advised the man 3 times, لا تغضب, لا تغضب. He asked him again, لا تغضب. Don't get angry, don't get mad. From these traits, because whenever a person gets mad, normally he does something he regrets. He does something with his tongue, he'll say something he regrets. Even if he had the right to be angry, if the anger takes a hold of him, he leaves. And the straight path with his tongue, or sometimes with his actions. Sometimes somebody will get so mad, they'll knock somebody and they don't get up. He'll get mad and do something with his hand, and that person, that's it. He's finished. Or somebody would get mad at the child and grab him like this and pull the arm, not knowing, not intentionally, but because of anger, and shaitan get involved and yank the child like this, yank his arm out of socket, little kid. Yani. Subhanallah. So the one who remembers Allah Azza wa Jal, he remembered that this is from the traits of the people of goodness. And this is really comes into effect whenever a person is remembering Allah and he's striving against the soul. Like he said, he's striving for the people to not to not harm anybody. He's striving for the people to be safe from his tongue and from his hand. If the people act ignorant against him, he's forbearing. He doesn't act ignorant with the people who act ignorant. He doesn't act ignorant with the people. He doesn't sink to their level. And this is what he's indicating. And Allah knows best. Rahimahullah ta'ala, يَقْضِمُ غَيْظَهُ لِيُرْضِيَ رَبَّهُ وَيَغِيظَ عَدُوَّهُ. That he represses his anger in order to please Allah Azza wa Jal, his Lord. Seeking the pleasure of his Lord. And he says, and also to make his enemy furious. Because the one who is striving, the one who is making a person angry, or the one who is causing a problem with the individual, the one who is acting out, the one who is being ignorant, this person, as has been said, misery loves company. He wants another person to react. He will say a name and he will call them names, and he wants them to call names. He will step up and he is hoping that they step. If a person, he keeps himself calm, normally if a person is a sane individual, he will see that the manners of this individual, and then he'll feel shy. He'll feel shy. He jump, what's wrong with you? And then he sees that the person, he acts in a calm manner, then normally he will calm down and he will feel shy that he acted like this. And if not, then it would just cause him to be furious, how this person counteracted this fury and counteracted this foolishness with calmness and gentleness, with a sane mind. He encountered him in this manner like this. He came to him acting like a fool, and most people will act like a fool back, but rather he handled it in a manner with honor and respect. This will burn him if it didn't turn him back. If it didn't turn him back. So he says, يَقْلِمُ غَيْظَهُ لِيُرْضِيَ رَبَّهُ. He represses his anger. This is from the traits of the people of the Quran. They repress their anger. They repress their anger in order to please their Lord. They remember Allah Azza wa Jalla instead of... they can be angry, but they hold it in. They don't show it. You'll never even know he's mad. He'll be hot inside, holding it in, but he doesn't let them see it, because why? He wants the pleasure of Allah. This is a high level of Iman. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from His fadl. This is the case. And then he says, in order to also to make his enemy furious, he says, مُتَوَاضِعٌ فِي نَفْسِهِ, that he is humble with regards to himself. He's humble in himself. إِذَا قِيلَ لَهُ الْحَقِّ قَبِلَهُ مِنْ صَغِيرٍ أَوْ كَبِيرٍ. مُتَوَاضِعٌ فِي نَفْسِهِ إِذَا قِيلَ لَهُ الْحَقِّ قَبِلَهُ مِنْ صَغِيرٍ أَوْ كَبِيرٍ. He said that he is humble in himself. If the truth is mentioned to him, he accepts it. Doesn't matter if it's from a big, great scholar or from somebody young, from a big one or a small one. And somebody who is a scholar says the truth to him, he accepts it. Somebody who is lower than him, somebody who is lesser than him in knowledge, somebody who is younger than him in age, mentions the truth to him, he accepts it. He accepts it. Jazakallah khairah. You're right. Astaghfirullah. Like this is the case because he's a person seeking the truth. It's been narrated from Al-Imam Al-Bukhari rahimahullah ta'ala that he mentioned, لا يكون رجل من أهل الحديث حتى يأخذ الحديث عمن فوقه وعمن هو مثله وعمن دونه. That a person, he will not really be considered a person of hadith until he takes hadith, yani from those who are greater than him, yani above him in knowledge, and those who are like him on the same level, and those who are lower than him, yani in knowledge. At this time, he will be a person of hadith. He learns, he gets narrations from all of them. Because one of the traits that shaitan, or the avenues of deterring the person of knowledge and the student of knowledge from benefiting from his knowledge is from pride, arrogance. The students of knowledge and the people of knowledge and those who are concerned and diligent in learning, and the students of knowledge, and the ulama, shaitani has more avenues, more doors he strives harder to corrupt him. He strives harder to detour him. he strives harder to prohibit him from achieving his goal. Because the person of knowledge, the student of knowledge, and the ulama, they obtain the khayr and the good, and they benefit themselves and they benefit others. So they have this all-encompassing benefit. The benefit of the person of knowledge is widespread. So shaitan, he really tries to deter the student of knowledge and the people of knowledge greater than even the layman. Strives harder from the aspect of kibr and from ghurur, being amazed with oneself and wanting status and wanting rank and hasad. He strives harder, shaitan. Al-Hafidh al-Nawawi, he mentioned this about the students of knowledge and the people of knowledge, and the people who are striving to be from the people of the Quran. And they're the people of knowledge because of the khayr that they have from this knowledge. So in any case, he is what? He's not arrogant. He's humble. He's humble, and if the truth comes to him from a big one, a big person, a great scholar, or a person of knowledge, or somebody who is lower than him, or even younger than him in age, he comes to him and mentions to him, he will accept it. He will accept it. It's been mentioned that Al-Imam Malik, rahimahullah ta'ala, the great scholar, Al-Imam Malik, Imam Dar al-Hijrah, he died in 179. It was mentioned he would have gatherings in the Prophet's masjid, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and he would teach and he would narrate hadith. And he would also teach fiqh and the likes like this in the masjid of the Prophet, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. One of his great students, Abdullah bin Wahab. It's mentioned, Abdullah bin Wahab, that he was sitting in the gathering of Imam Malik and he gave a fatwa that it's not from the sunnah that you don't make takhleel of the fingers in wudu. You don't put your fingers in between like this in wudu or on your toes. And Abdullah bin Wahab is a student. He's not Imam Malik. He's not in the rank of Imam. He's the student of Imam Malik, much younger and lower than Imam Malik, rahimahullah ta'ala. And he said that he knows a narration that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he would do this in his toes, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, with his pinky, making wudu. So he waited for all of the students to leave, and it was just him and his shaykh at Imam Malik. And he went to him and he told him, he said, I heard you made the fatwa about this, but we have a sunnah with regards to that. And he mentioned it to him, and he accepted it. And Abdullah bin Wahab, rahimahullah ta'ala, mentioned that later on after that, he heard Imam Malik making the fatwa that it's from the sunnah to do this, to make the takhleel. The point is that he accepts the truth when it comes to him. And this is the way of the person of the haqq. And likewise, he didn't find fault with Abdullah bin Wahab. How can you tell me I'm the shaykh? I'm the one narrate to you. La. You have a sunnah from the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Let me hear it. It didn't reach me. Likewise, some people might say, well, how can Abdullah bin Wahab knows, but Imam Malik doesn't know? You know, but Imam Malik didn't know? Yes. Imam Malik is a man, rahimahullah ta'ala. Not everybody, the sunnah would not be gathered in one person ever. It's not possible for one person, the whole sunnah, he knows everything. No matter how great they may be. If the sunnah was going to be gathered in somebody, it would have been Imam Malik. And then this is the issue of tahara. It didn't reach him, this particular issue. And that's not finding fault with him. That's just the reality. But in any case, how did he accept it? You have a sunnah from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, let me hear it. And then after that, he followed it and applied it. And this is the case. He says what? Rahimahullah ta'ala, Al-Imam Al-Ajurri, mutawadi'un fi nafsihi. إِذَا قِيلَ لَهُ الْحَقِّ قَبِلَهُ مِنْ صَغِيرٍ أَوْ كَبِيرٍ. That he is humble with regards to himself. If the truth is mentioned to him, he accepts it from whoever. From the major one or the minor one. From the big one or the little one. From the elder, or for the one who is younger. From the one who is younger. He mentions here, and it's amazing the order that he's mentioning these things. For one who can ponder, he says, يَطْلُبُ الرِّفْعَةَ مِنَ اللَّهِ. يَطْلُبُ الرِّفْعَةَ مِنَ اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ لَا مِنَ الْمَخْلُقِينَ. He's seeking status and rank from Allah. He wants to have a high status from Allah, not from the creation, and not from the people. Not from the people. He says, مَاقِتٌ لِلْكِبْرِ. He dislikes, مَاقِتٌ مُبْغِضٌ. He hates or dislikes arrogance. خائف على نفسه منه. He dislikes, despising arrogance. مبغض. maqit, and despising. More than disliking, huh? He despises it. Arrogance, but at the same time, he's afraid that it may fall on him and that he may become arrogant. So he dislikes it and he hates it. And he's afraid of it from himself, or he's afraid of it for himself. This is the case. He says, لا يتأكل بالقرآن. He doesn't use the Quran to gain money. لا يتأكل بالقرآن. ولا يحب أن يقضى أو لا يحب أن تقضى له به الحوائج. And he does not like that his needs are taken care of because of the Quran. And he's not a person that uses the Quran to gain the dunya. To gain the dunya. He doesn't use the Quran and his status in the deen to take care of his needs and to get his chores taken care of and the likes like this. This is not the case. The ulama, they mention about the issue of taking money for teaching the Quran, for example. That is permissible. Especially in our times. Sheikh Ibn Baz, he mentioned that this is the case, that it's permissible. And this is from the aspects of at-ta'awun al-birri wa taqwa. Because those who are able to teach the Quran, for example, they're able to teach the deen, they have to have their needs taken care of likewise. They have to have time to teach. If they were busy gaining their livelihood and the livelihood of their family, they would not have time to teach. So for somebody, for example, in an Islamic country, the government will take care of that and pay and provide for them so that they can dedicate their time to teaching. And if not, then in the society, then the people will take care of that. The individual who is capable, they will take care of him and provide for him in order for him to teach. And this is from the aspect of ta'awun al-birri wa taqwa. And this is not from the aspect of a person using the deen to gain a livelihood. Rather, this is from the aspect of helping and cooperating together upon piety and righteousness. Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, he has some speech about this, rahimahullah ta'ala, and it's with regards to the issue of Hajj. He was asked a question about the issue of Hajj, badal, making Hajj for somebody else. Is it permissible to take money to make Hajj for somebody else? And this is similar. Because seeking knowledge, or because teaching Quran, for example, is ibadah. Teaching the deen is ibadah. Teaching Quran is worship. Likewise, making Hajj is worship. It's all worship. It's all in the same category. It all has to be with ikhlas, sincerity for Allah alone, with no partners. So he mentioned, rahimahullah ta'ala, that the one who takes money to make Hajj for somebody else, and he has the intention to do good for that person, and he wants to go to Hajj, and he wants to be in Arafah, and he wants to go to Mecca, and he wants to do the acts of worship, and the only way he can do that is to take the money, but he has this good intention. He doesn't want the money, he wants to go to Hajj. Then this is permissible for him to take the money. As for the one he doesn't want to go to Hajj, he only wants the money. He said this will never occur from a believer. He doesn't care about making Hajj. He doesn't care about going to Arafah. He doesn't care about standing with the Hujjaj on Arafah. He doesn't care about going to Muzdalifah. He doesn't care about making tawaf. This is not what he wants. Is the money. He wants the money. This one right here, he said this would not occur from a believer. This would not occur from a believer. So the ulama, they mentioned it's similar like this. The one who would take money, for example, to teach the Quran. He doesn't learn the Quran in order to gain money, right? He's learning the Quran because he wants to follow the Quran. And he doesn't take money in order to teach the Quran. Rather, he takes money so he can teach the Quran. It's different. It's the issue of intention. So from this aspect, it's permissible. So he wouldn't fall under the statement here, وَلَا يَتَأَكَّلُ بِالْقُرْآنِ. And the one who does not have his own source of income, then it's permissible to have help from the community in order for him to be free to teach. And this is not blameworthy. Right? The Shaykh Ibn Baz, he mentioned, rahimahullah ta'ala, that this is permissible and this is good. And from the aspects of cooperating upon khair. As for the one who says, I won't teach you unless you give me money, then this one is the one that is in danger. A great danger with his deen. And that he won't teach, he won't accept for money. And this means that his worship is for the dunya. So this wouldn't happen from a believer. Whether the believer, he would take the money in order to do it, he wouldn't do it in order to take the money. So the issue is an issue of intention. لا يتأكل بالقرآن ولا يحب أن تقضى له به الحوائج. And he doesn't like that his needs will be taken care of by the Quran. And this means that he wouldn't seek to have his needs taken care of. Like, for example, if he goes to the store, he sees that this particular item, it costs $50. But he comes, he says, I'm the sheikh. I'm the sheikh. You know me? I'm the sheikh. I'm the imam. I teach your children like this. Let me get it for 25. La, he would never do this. Even if somebody tried to give it, the sheikh is here, give it the discount. He wouldn't like that. He wouldn't like that because he doesn't want to fall into this right here. But if the people cooperate to help the people, this is good. But this is something that is in his heart. He does not seek the dunya with his knowledge. He does not seek the dunya with his status. He does not seek the dunya with his rank in the deen. Rather, he seeks what? He says, يَطْلُبُ الرِّفْعَةَ مِنَ اللَّهِ. He wants the status and the rank from Allah Azza wa Jal. He strives to be sincere. He would not want anything from his actions and efforts to be wasted, because he's involved in worship. This has to be for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. He said, لا يسعى به إلى أبناء الملوك ولا يجالس به الأغنياء ليكرموه. He said he does not hasten to the children of the kings, and meaning to be amongst the wealthy. He doesn't use his knowledge to be amongst the wealthy and to sit with the rich so that they can honor him. And this doesn't mean that a person of knowledge or the person of the Quran, he won't go around the kings. Rather, he will be around the kings because they need him to guide them and to advise them. But the issue again here is the issue of intention. He doesn't go around them in order to get honor from them or to get wealth from them or to get rank from them or status from them. This is what he is dispraising here. He doesn't strive to use his knowledge in order to gain rank in the dunya. But rather he would go around the kings and around the wealthy likewise in order to advise them and to direct them. This is good. But he would not seek their status and rank. He said, إن كسب الناس من الدنيا الكثير بلا فقه ولا بصيرة كسب هو القليل بفقه وعلم. He said, if the people, they obtain a lot from the dunya without any fiqh or understanding or insight in the deen, then he will obtain that which is a little, yani few, but he will do it with understanding and with knowledge. And indicating that he will gain his earning and he will get his wealth based upon knowledge in a manner that is permissible. As for many of the people, they will gain lots of wealth, but they don't look to where it's coming from or how they're earning it. Sheikh Abdul Muhsin Al-Abbad, Hafidhullah Ta'ala, he has mentioned, I heard he mentioned many times, he will say that some people that they will say Al-Halal mahalla fil jayb, that the halal is whatever can fall into the pocket, meaning they don't look where it comes from. Whatever they can get their hands on, this is halal for them. وَالْحَرَامْ مَا لَمْ تَصِلْ إِلَيْهِ الْيَدْ. And what is haram and what is impermissible is what the hand cannot reach. And meaning they don't look. The one who doesn't have knowledge, he doesn't have understanding, he doesn't have insight in the deen, then he will get his wealth from here and from there, from what is permissible and what is impermissible. As for this person of knowledge, he's not like that. He's not like that. Rather, what is he like? He said even if he didn't earn a whole lot, he would earn what is sufficient for him with knowledge and with understanding. Now, he says, إن لبس الناس اللين الفاخر لبس هو من الحلال ما يستر عورته. If the people are wearing the luxurious, soft and nice clothing, he says he wears what is permissible and that which covers his privates. And his main goal is to stay in the limits of Allah Azza wa Jal. Is to stay in the limits of Allah Azza wa Jal. In وُسِّعَ عَلَيْهِ وَسَّعَ. If he has been given a lot of wealth, then he will give and be kind and charitable. وَإِنْ أُمْسِكَ عَلَيْهِ أَمْسَكَ. But if he is restricted in his wealth, then he will also hold back in giving. And this is from his characteristics and traits. in accordance with the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal, لينفق ذو ساعة من ساعته ومن قدر عليه رزقه فلينفق مما آتاه الله. Now, that the one, he will spend according to his wealth, and if he's restricted in his wealth, then he will spend from what Allah has given him, and accordingly. So if he is given the blessing of wealth, then he gives blessing, then he gives. And musi'a alayhi wasa', wa umsika alayhi amsak. This is his case. That if he's been given the wealth and he has a good amount, then he will give generously according to his situation. And if he has been confined or restricted with regards to his wealth, likewise, then he will hold back. This is the case. That he spends from what Allah has given him in a manner befitting his situation. He says, يَقْنَعُ بِالْقَلِيلِ فَيَكْفِيهِ وَيَحْذَرُ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا مَا يُطْغِيهِ. He said, rahimahullah ta'ala, that he is sufficed and he finds satisfaction with a little, and this will suffice him, and it will be enough for him. And he is cautious with regards to his own soul from this dunya, that which will cause him to transgress the boundaries. And this is the case. Sometimes we find that whenever a person is tried, and I say tried, sometimes we don't think like this. Sometimes whenever a person is tried with wealth, because wealth is a trial likewise. Wealth is a trial, and poverty is a trial. Both of them are a test from Allah Azza wa Jal. Sometimes an individual may be tried with wealth, and this could be a means for him to transgress the boundaries. Whenever he was in poverty, he was remembering Allah Azza wa Jal. Maybe he was pious, and then Allah Azza wa Jal gave him wealth suddenly, increased him in his sustenance and provision. And then this sustenance and provision caused him to forget Allah Azza wa Jal. So he's cautious about this situation. This is a reality. This can happen. A person, maybe he would be poor, and then the wealth, he gets the wealth and it distracts him. And it causes him to transgress the limits and to go into the haram because of the wealth. The wealth is the means, the dunya is the means that leads him away. So he says, يَحْذَرُ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا مَا يُطْغِيهِ. That he is cautious from his own soul with regards to the dunya, and that which would cause him to transgress the limits of Allah Azza wa Jalla. But this statement here, يَقْنَعُ بِالْقَلِيلِ فَيَكْفِيهِ, that he sufficed with a little. He sufficed with a little. And he has qana'ah. He has qana'ah. We've seen in the hadith of the Prophet yesterday, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, إِرْضِي أو إِرْضَى بِمَا قَسَمَ اللَّهُ لَكَ تَكُنْ أَغْنَى النَّاسِ. If you are sufficed, or if you are pleased with what Allah has given you from sustenance, then you'll be the richest of the people. And somebody wants to be rich. Who wants to be rich? We think rich is to be wealthy. Who wants to have the most wealth? And the true wealth is contentment with what Allah has provided. True wealth is contentment with what Allah has decreed. This is the true wealth and the true richness of the heart. Al-qana'ah wal-ghina, ghina an-nafs. As the Prophet ﷺ, he said, again, he's following up the author. He mentions يَتْبَعُ وَاجِبَاتِ الْقُرْآنِ وَالسُّنَّةِ, that he follows up the obligations of the Qur'an and the Sunnah. This is his characteristic. He's following up, and he is applying them. What? The obligations of the Qur'an and the Sunnah. يَأْكُلُ الطَّعَامَ بِعِلْمٍ وَيَشْرَبُ بِعِلْمٍ وَيَلْبَسُ بِعِلْمٍ وَيَنَامُ بِعِلْمٍ وَيُجَامِعُ أَهْلَهُ بِعِلْمٍ وَيَسْحَبُ الْإِخْوَانَ بِعِلْمٍ وَيَزُورُهُمْ بِعِلْمٍ وَيَسْتَأْذِنُ عَلَيْهِمْ بِعِلْمٍ يُجَاوِرُ جَارَهُ بِعِلْمٍ. He mentioned here the trait of this person of the Qur'an, that he eats with knowledge. He eats food with knowledge, and he drinks with knowledge, and he wears clothing with knowledge, and he sleeps with knowledge. He has relationships with his family with knowledge. He accompanies his brothers with knowledge. He visits them with knowledge. He seeks permission to enter upon them with knowledge. He lives with his neighbors based upon knowledge. And this person, Hamil al-Quran, Sahib al-Ilm, he's a person of knowledge. He follows up the obligations of the Quran and the Sunnah. He eats with knowledge and drinks with knowledge. In this manner, he's a person of knowledge. Inshallah, we conclude today's class. Continue next week, inshallah. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.